Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this last and 10th sessions of the Do's and Don'ts. So for this last session of the Do's and Don'ts webinar series, we will discuss about how does an NCC articulate with an AI factory. To hear more about how the entities that already interact with some AI factories are distributing the roles, how they are testing some workflows, or maybe which kind of customer journeys they are implementing at the moment. As a reminder, so this webinar series was organized in collaboration with NCC Netherlands, particularly with Andrea Moga during this phase 2 of CASTIEL. So thanks a lot to her for the support on this. Today, we will hear from two NCCs and AI factories. So first we'll hear from NCC Sweden with the AIF Mimer, and then we'll hear from NCC Austria with the AI factory Austria. For information, the presentations will be recorded. We'll share them and along with some slides after the talk. And also, as we know that this is a topic that is interesting for many of you, we'll have a dedicated Q&A sessions after the talk. So feel free to put your comments, questions, anything to be discussed at the end in the chat for the Q&A after the talks. And with this, I will stop sharing my screen and leave the floor to Karim and Daniel for the first talk of today.
Yeah, thank you, Maria, for introduction and this very nice opportunity. So I'm Karim from NCCS or NCC Sweden, together with Daniel here. We're gonna be giving this short presentation. I wanted just to highlight that I'm just filling in today and for my colleague Juan, who had some private matters. But hopefully everything will be okay and he can follow up with you guys in the next talks for this. So the structure for the both entities is that NCC, probably many of you guys know about us. So it's like a joint between RISE, which is a research institute in Sweden, and Linköping University, where we had 12 people involved somehow on average, somehow 12 in CC2, and in CC3 we are planning to have to be involved with 9 personnel over there, while the bigger project Mimer over there to the right hand side is between RISE and NICE, and this NICE it's more of a national infrastructure for computations in Sweden, which has so many big consortium of many universities united there, and has like so many people there compared to NCC, around 73, including like full-time and part-time people. So this brings naturally many people and expertise that can be shared or can have interest in both projects or can give a value or make a difference in for customer journeys in the both projects. And that's why we believe communication is very important in this aspect. And you will see a little bit more details about that later on. So if we go a little bit more in more details here, so we'll see like the services from the both sides, and somehow like have big similarities, but different focuses or different narrow down focuses. And this is the point of having like these 2 projects. But this also brings together many people, and those people have this shared domain expertise. So this is like a list, but probably we have more domain expertise if you combine the 2 FTEs over here. But this by nature brings processes, brings like projects that could be joined, and this is where we talk. For example, here the 2 of them have like trainings, the 2 of them can have proof of concepts and technical support. So this is where the 2 projects can talk. So here I will leave the floor to Daniel.
Yes, and we work very together, and the fact that NCC was Sweden was sort of the seed for Mimer in terms of processes, helped us to structure very well all the processes. So essentially, when you are dealing with a company, and I would say that 90% of the companies now that we got on CC2 are AI. Now they go on CC3 starting April, but also by now because our factory is already running. All the AI companies, when they do LLMs, for example, they go to Mimer. If it's HPC only, or something related like material science or even cloud computing, some few areas, we send them to 63. And if it's HPC plus AI, then it's a bit of a blurry line. And either we can collaborate, which is depending on what the company is doing, or we try to analyze which of the whether the NCC or whether the AI factory would be more appropriate in that sense. And this depends on what they are doing. So the workflow, so when they are doing a workflow, AI workflow, is that workflow only about the organizing a direct cyclic graph, for example, on Airflow. That is not strictly AI, despite it deals with AI. So you can have a bit of margin to deal within the NCC because you're not dealing with AI itself, you're dealing with the workflows. So this depends a bit on what's going on with the company. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. Yes. So we have this sort of informal process. It's not very sufficient, but everyone at the AI factory knows about NCC Sweden, and that's because they share a structure. Like for example, I work in both, and I had the chance to work in the knowledge base when we were starting the AI factory, and I put a lot of info regarding CCS. So the people that are onboarded on the AI factory, they read about NCCS and they know what it's about. So when you're doing essentially business development with a client comes to you, or you reach to a client, and you have this first meeting to understand the needs, then you know whether the company is HPC or AI or both, and depending, you can just redirect to either of the workflows that you see on the right side of this slide. So you can have both running at the same time internally, and that's or just one of them at some point. And this has been successful to the point that we got 2 companies from Mimer to success on the support. And 2 as a number is a very small number, but it's extremely hard to find HPC only companies in a small country like Sweden. We have 10 million people, so in only February, it's a really great number in my opinion. And Mimer, we went to an event there, we got 150 leads only on AI, for example. So it's something. Next slide. And another activity that we do together is also the trainings and webinars, and I think that's what a lot of people also do, or the AI factories and the NCCs that collaborate. So, for example, on Tuesday, we had this webinar on material sciences, and material sciences is one of the specialties of the Mimer AI factory. But we took the person one of the person responsible for the material sciences, and they asked them to do a technical webinar in that field in CCS. So on Tuesday, we had this webinar, and the same thing for training on Kubernetes. So this will be given by me, I think next month. And Kubernetes is, you can argue that Kubernetes is not an AI thing. We are already pushing for cloud features on NCC Sweden. But at the same point, Mimer AI Factory, the system, will be built on Kubernetes and so on. So people will have the need to use that. So the best solution was just to provide a joint training, for example. So I think we had the others, at least 1 or 2 more that I don't recall right now. But this has been a sort of a successful approach that we for a collaboration that has been working quite well and getting a bit of engagement. And then back to Karim.
Thank you, Daniel. So the title of this meeting was do's and don'ts. So we compiled here some list of do and don't. We just kind of learned somehow from this very quite short period of learning. So we wanted here to highlight in the in the do's that we want to encourage collaboration at all levels. NCCs and AI factories, the should always look for joint opportunities. And as Daniel highlighted here, then you get to know more each other. You get also to know what you can provide together for your customers, the two prospective customers. And shared stuff is, as Daniel still also highlighted here, and this is brilliant. Here is Daniel is the key ingredient here, or the second ingredient, you can say, because the shared stuff, the services in each project, and then they can help in redirecting a customer. And this is very important to spot early on. Then it's more of giving the best experience for the customer. And then we get customer retention. This is the most important. And as the involvement in AI. So of course we know that CC3 shouldn't be involved in AI, because this is something with if you have AI factory in your country, and this is where you can be smart about that, where many of the AI workflows still require HPC, as also Daniel highlighted and will highlight in his next webinar about Kubernetes. Communication is highlighted here, I think, in every slide. I don't think we need to motivate it anymore, but this is very important. And service boundaries. That's why we write it down. What we can offer, NCC can offer, and Mimer can offer. So then clients are not confused, and clients know where to go and what to ask. Embrace the HPC AI integration. This is also important, for then you are giving the customer more for the confidence that those two entities can make a difference for my services, and they have kind of end-to-end solutions for me. And joint engagements, and this is important. So we go together to industry clusters, to workshops, incubators when presenting, because we know that we're gonna have the customers could have many hybrid models or many hybrid projects. Then you need the two of us. So together we are stronger. That's what it's what I wanted to say here. Joint success stories and case studies, this is something we are aiming for. So hopefully it will materialize. On the other hand, with the don'ts, so it happens also as a drawback for the shared resources that one could favor one project over the other, or there could be more of tasks that is occupying all the time. And then the time that you can allocate for the other project get kind of distracted a little bit. And for that, then it's important to for the project managers to monitor that, to highlight that, and to make a good balance and redistribute resources when needed, because you don't know when the times gets more tight, deadlines, and so on. The joint trainings, it's something also that we aim for, but it's also important that the two entities contribute with meaningful contributions that can highlight the use case in a good way. So it's important also when it comes to not to confuse the customers. So it's important to have separate branding somehow. So if there's, like, for example, an email from NCCS or communication with a company, then and we know it could be hybrid, then the transition here could be easier if the connection is made from one of the entities to introduce the other partner to the customer. So one primary contact. This is what I wanted to say here. And distribution, this is important. So as Daniel has spotted here, and colleagues has spotted the 2 companies in February. So that was great. So spotted early on, no delays, then we start working and customer retention. So this is the last slide. We still have like 2 minutes, but there was a set of questions to be addressed. So that was like how our responsibilities split between the 2. Then NCCS handles HPC, high-performance HPDA, Neighbor handles AI workload, shared stuff, coordinate that. So you can say like when it comes to hybrid needs, then the 2 of us are included. Who offer which services, how is communicated. Yeah, I think clear service catalog, that's what we're aiming for. And then the shared stuff or overlap. Of course, like joint events, this is also a help here. How users are guided or rerouted. Then, as Daniel also mentioned, the business developer, first contact, assessment, then redirect if needed. And we have 2 examples for that. What does the internal workflow looks like? So that's what also Daniel highlighted, the meeting, understanding needs, route if needed, and or also you can route for your internal resources and workflow and join trainings and so on. So you can say like meet, understand, execute. That's what we wanted to say here. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Daniel and Karim, for this very interesting sharing of experience. Already well done to already have shared two companies between the AI Factory and the NCC. That's great indeed to have achieved that in only a few months. And yeah, very interesting to see how you're experimenting the collaboration there and trying to have one unique way of communicating about HPC in between AI Factory and NCC. I have already a lot of questions, and I see that there are already some questions, but let's continue for now with NCC Austria and AI Factory from Austria to hear the experience, the example in another country. I'm making you presenter, Andreas. And yes, and be able to discuss the two experiences, 2 different case, excuse me, in this case. So Andreas, normally you are presenter now. For information for everyone, thanks for putting your questions in the chat, and we'll address them in the Q&A, and we will have time to discuss all of this together. Okay, we see the slides, full screen.
Good. Okay, I'm going to present this on behalf of my colleague Thomas Meyerhofer, who has a leading role in the Austrian AI Factory, and me. I'm going to lead the Austrian NCC and EuroCC Phase 3. So unfortunately, we did not have as much time as expected to discuss this internally. So the workflow I'm going to present is probably not yet final and not yet tested, even though we also have already shifted some companies between each other. But similar to Sweden and I guess many other countries, there are strong personal relationships between the 2 entities. So, for example, Thomas and me, we have been colleagues for 2 years, and we are both employed at the same company for our leading roles at the AI Factory and the NCC, and that is Advanced Computing Austria, which is a beneficiary of both projects. So we are expecting this collaboration to work quite well. Let us first quickly see the overall services. This is not an exhaustive list, but just to get the idea very shortly before we go to the overlaps and the differences, which will be the important point. So both are Euro HPC projects, of course. So in both projects, there is some expertise when it comes to HPC, which will be delivered in services. And also access to HPC will be offered by both services in some ways. Of course, there are differences. The AI factories all get their own AI optimized supercomputers, where AI optimized means some kind of differences in how you can work on them, and also even more tailored hardware, more tailored to AI. But in general, there is of course an overlap. And other than that, there should be this difference now, as we also see in the Swedish case. But we will probably be more distinct when it comes to trainings. For example, HPC trainings, classical HPC trainings will be only delivered by the NCC, and AI trainings will only be delivered by the AI factory. There will be some differences which are important for today. For example, as you see on the left, I don't know if you see my mouse actually.
No,
No,
not at
it's
the
okay.
moment.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. So on the lower left, you see there's a point which is called long-term collaborations, and this is something we aim for with the NCC, which is with respect to sustainability. Whereas the AI factory puts more focus on rather shorter collaborations. And when it comes to the AI factory, there's also much more focus on brokering. Connecting players of the Austrian AI ecosystem and stuff like this. Business innovation support is what you also see on the right side. And there's also a big co-working space for startups, which has been introduced last week, I think. So big building in Vienna, which a lot of office places for startups to get together and co-work among each other and with people from the Austrian AI factory. Okay, but so what is important is the overlap and the differences. So first of all, how will the services be communicated? That was one of the questions. So I tried to address the questions of this workshop in the titles, slide by slide. NCC Austria uses Waldo. So there is this HPC service hub. Our services are synchronized there, and the AI factory will publish them, at least for the time being now, on its website. By the way, since we did not have so much time to discuss this internally, and Thomas Meyer was also in the audience, we agreed that maybe if I say something which is very wrong, he might jump in and correct me or add something. So I'm prepared for that. As I said, there's of course this overlap when it comes to supercomputing in general, access and expertise. But the differences that you might have spotted on the previous slide is, of course, when it comes to specific AI things. For example, the NCC does not provide, or is not even allowed, I think, to provide AI consulting. What we also don't provide at the NCC is business support. We don't do that anymore. We had that in our portfolio in EuroCC phase 2, but now since we don't get as much funding anymore, and the AI factory does have a lot of funding, this is moved to the AI factory. This is, for example, one of the main domains for Thomas Meyer himself. So just to put this into relation, maybe the AI factory has a budget only for services of 30 million euros in Austria. And as you know, the NCCs have 1.1 million for 3 years. And in Austria, the supercomputer, the hardware will be another 50 million. There will also be less focus on national matchmaking at the NCC, which I mentioned to be an important point for the AI factory. Then, as I also said, the AI factory does not aim to collaborate long term, and not so much with large enterprises. I know also the NCCs should not work too much with large enterprises, but in view of sustainability, we want to do that. We have this company, Advanced Computing Austria, which is able to sell services also once UCC might come to an end. And large enterprises are quite interesting when it comes to that, because they also have larger budgets. Also to be distinguished here is that the AI factory, of course, provides a lot of services when it comes to AI in general, and that can encompass so many things. So when it comes to really high compute demand, that is something where the NCC has more focus on. So that can encompass, for example, also AI trainings, model trainings is what I mean, not training courses. Okay, coming to the responsibilities now for this workflow to work. In Austria, we agreed that there will be a link person on both sides for the NCC and the AI factory. At the NCC, this will be the leader of task number 3 of USCC3. And for the AI factory, the link person in Austria will, for the moment, be Thomas Mayhoff himself. And we will have to sort out if someone else will be doing that. And these people will be the primary points of communication between the NCC and the AI factory. And they will be responsible also for sharing all the necessary information when it comes to users that are being transferred or being dealt with by both entities. What we realize in Austria is the AI factory is extremely prominent and has much larger user base. So many startups, many companies, also large enterprises, contact the AI factory. So it will be the responsibility of the AI factory to identify users that might be more suited or just be a good fit for the NCC. On the other hand, of course, the NCC has to route users back or route users in the first place when AI-specific consulting is required. If it is decided to transfer a user, the link is responsible of transferring all the information, as I said before. So I think on the next slide, I have, no, not yet. There will also be a slide on the workflow. So routing users between NCC and AI factory. There are very similar workflows at the AI factory and the NCC because they originate from UCC. And it's also a bit similar to Sweden, as I saw. So after the first contact, which can be in any form, mail, a contact form, or just a personal contact, there is a questionnaire being sent out. The question is quite similar in both cases. And it also touches technical questions. It asks, like, what are you doing in general? But it also asks for the requirements up to the technical requirements. And the question is very similar on both sides. And after this question, there will be an evaluation by the teams and an expert assessment of where this might be suitable. Can we deal with this? Can the other entity deal with this? And so on. And based on this assessment, there will be a routing of the users. So what can be reasons for the users to be routed to the partner? One thing is, for example, strategic fit. So as I said, for example, a high compute demand is, especially currently, not something that the AI factory focuses on. They have so many services, they do so many things. AI encompasses a lot. When it comes to a high compute demand, that might be a typical HPC user, even if maybe it's an AI model training that they do. Also, the long-term perspective to purchase compute. The AI factory is currently not aiming to sell anything. The NCC has quite some pressure to be sustainable, so that is something where the NCC might take over and try to get a user to become a customer of the company Advanced Computing Austria. And large enterprises, I already talked about that. Of course, if a user requires primarily AI services, it's a clear case that has to be transferred to the AI factory. Also, capacity can play a role. If one partner is very overwhelmed at the moment and the other has free capacities, that can also be a reason for a user to be transferred if the use case can be delivered by both. Okay, so internal workflow looks like this. Actually, it's what I already said. So there might be, I only focus on requests that are being, in principle, could be dealt with by both, so an HPC and AI request. In other cases, it's clear. If it comes in, there's going to be this questionnaire. After the questionnaire, an assessment. That's the same process in both entities. And then there is a transfer. Might be a transfer based on the criteria I mentioned before. And only after that, there will be the technical meeting on the corresponding site. So there's little waste of resources, hopefully. And all information which has reached one partner, like the questionnaire, other documents of the user, are transferred to the partner. Of course, after consulting the user, if that is fine. And in the end, there might be communication by both of us. Okay, there's also room for further collaboration. We are already working together, but I see Marie-Françoise, so I think I'm approaching the end of the time I have. There are already things that we have been doing together and things that we will continue doing together and aim for doing together. Like, for example, also co-organizing workshops. There is something planned, similar to Sweden, but let's finish here. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Andreas, for sharing the experience of NCC Austria with AI factory, the Austrian AI factory, and how you are starting implementing things there, starting to put collaboration, and how you decided to indeed share through the link persons the companies. Great. So with this, I would like to really warmly thank the speakers of today for being so open for discussions and to share your experience and share how you're starting to implement this right now. So thanks a lot for taking the time and sharing this feedback with us today. For info, this was the last session of Do's and Don'ts for this phase of CASTIEL, but hopefully we'll try to continue this during the next phase. So as always, you are very welcome to to share with us topics, or let us know if you want to hear about something, or if you want to present about something from your NCC, or yes, let us know, contact us, we can discuss it for the next phase.
Thank you, Marie. You did a great job as always. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good day. Bye.
Bye.